What is up, watch friends? Welcome to another episode of Talking Timepieces with Tony. Yes, that's me. Friday. It was a long week, but I say that probably every week. And so it's Friday, and you know what that day is? Besides Friday, it's the Q&A day. So if you're a new subscriber and you don't know what Friday is, besides being an end of the week, that's where I do a Q&A and I answer all of your questions. And if you would like to have a question featured, all you have to do is write your question in the comments below and I'll feature it in an upcoming Q&A. Today I'm wearing my Rolex GMT Master 2 126710 BLNR. I don't wear this too much, but I put it on earlier this week and I'm just wearing it again. So, all right, man, let's roll the intro and we'll get into the Q&A. Okay, so first question, we have a few questions this week. Well, we always have a few questions. This comes from S. Stanford DDPT. Curious on your thoughts of an unloved, never talked about Tudor, the Royale. Got the 38mm blue date, which is a deal of a watch that is svelte, beautiful. 5 link with a worked Solita movement that is 2 seconds a day. I get it, it's not the hottest nor hyped model, but a heck of a deal and classy. Got one for $1,400, new/used on eBay, and it's joyous while waiting. It's joyous while waiting call from Rolex AD for Datejust Wimbledon 41mm. Thanks, T. Sorry, sometimes I don't read these questions before I get them, and I read them as they're written. So if it sounds like I can't read, it's just sometimes people either abbreviate or sometimes don't use correct punctuation. No disrespect, man. Sorry, I didn't mean to read that the way I read it. But you're talking about the 38mm blue Royale, the Tudor, and you said date. Do they make one that's not a day date? Because I know the day date. But I think anyway, regardless, and you say if it's new, maybe they do. I don't. It's a nice watch, man. I almost bought one not too long ago. I think it's great value for money. It's got a Solita movement in it, and so it's not talked about that much. You're right, but it does have that aesthetic of a Vacheron Constantin 222, doesn't it? So they look cool. They work well, and as long as you love it, that's awesome. And they do have a little bit of a Rolex sort of feel to them as well, don't they? Like the oyster quartz. So, all right, man. And good luck with your Wimbledon as well. Appreciate your question. Next video comes from 2752 US. Great video, Tony. Thanks. More questions about the same subject. How many monthly salaries is it reasonable to spend for the watch? A good quality or luxury watch that you'll keep and maintain for the rest of your life. Also, considering that buying a watch is not the same as affording it, how many monthly salaries do you think should be taken into account for service repairs every 5 years? Thanks. You know, I've gotten so many questions regarding that as far as monthly salaries, and some people are like, you need to have 10 times the amount of money of what the watch costs in your bank account before you buy a watch, things like that. And you're kind of like, a lot of people don't have 10 times the amount of what you buy a $10,000 watch and you got 10 times, that's fine. You got 100 grand in the bank. But, the thing is that I don't look at it that way. There used to be a commercial, and I want to say it was from De Beers, can you afford 4 months salary for the one you love? You know what I mean? It's like, come on. I think whatever you're comfortable with spending is all that it should be. You know what I mean? If you've got $15,000 in the bank and you want to spend 10 of it on a watch, as long as you're comfortable with that, knowing if you're, obviously making more money, you got a good job or whatever it is, then do it. You know, you can't go through life going, well, I've only got another year to save before I can get that 10 times more than what the watch costs thing. Don't buy into that. If you're comfortable with it, buy it. You know what I mean? And that's it, you know, and especially with something like Rolex, you know, you're not going to lose that much money on it, but at the same time, you're not buying it for that reason. So it depends how you are as a person, what's your debt. You know, I'm not saying get into debt to buy a watch, but you know what I mean? It's just like, just live. You know, if you're comfortable with it, then that's all that matters. You know, if someone says to you, you shouldn't have bought that, you don't have this amount of money in the bank. Ain't your money, dude. And as far as servicing, you don't have to service a watch every 5 years. You know, I mean, that's another farce, man. You service the watch when something goes wrong with it. You can service it if you want every 5 years. I mean, it's recommended, but you don't have to. I mean, it's not going to do anything to it if you don't. It's not going to, harm the watch if you don't. But I don't sit there and calculate, well, I'm going to need this amount of money. I'm not planning for retirement. I'm planning on buying a watch. You know what I mean? I mean, I am planning for retirement, but that's not part of it. You know what I'm saying? So it should be whatever you're comfortable with. Anyway, thanks, man. Thanks for your question. This comes from PQ19476. Hey, Tony, I love your intro for the Friday Q&A. It's uplifting. Thanks, man. It's just some shreddy guitar stuff and then into a nice little Spanish thing that I wrote. I've been watching your videos for the past year, and it's the highlight of my Friday. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's the highlight of my Friday nights. What are your thoughts on vintage Rolex Datejust from the 80s? I just picked up an 89 silver stick fluted bezel 36 millimeter on a 47 millimeter on 47th Street. Sorry, 47th Street in New York. It's mint condition. What kind of servicing do you foresee with the vintage Datejust? You picked it up on 47th Street, and it's in mint condition for an 89. It's probably been polished, dude. Maybe it hasn't, but if it hasn't, all right, cool. It really depends, but if you bought, I hate to say this, if you bought it off 47th Street, man, take it to a Rolex dealer and get it checked out, get it serviced, just to make sure everything's proper with the watch, so as far as servicing, if you take it to Rolex, get it serviced, do it that one time, then it'll be good for several years, you know what I mean? And depends on how you wear it, but and 89, did they have the sapphire crystals in, or was it still the Heslite sort of plastic? I can't remember. I know it was sometime in the 80s. I think it is sapphire. I'm not sure. Either way, man, best of luck with that, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for your question. Time Bomb. Hey, Tony, I'm curious. What are your thoughts on watches with quick change strap systems? My Zenith Defy has one, and it's nice to quickly swap straps, but also annoying that I can't use aftermarket straps with it. That's the thing, man. I mean, that's the same with my Zenith. I spent $350 on a rubber strap for my Defy. When I had my Cartier Santos, I spent $400 on a custom strap for it. So that's your downfall. You got a nice looking watch, but it's a quick change, quick set, and you got to go with the with the OEM straps, man. In fact, if aftermarket makes straps for them, I probably still wouldn't buy one because I don't know how reliable they would be, if they would break, or if they're, you know what I mean, the quality. That's what you got to think about. But yeah, it's what it is, man. So it's the price you pay. Thanks, dude. This one comes from Stephen Haywood 751. This is a long question. Question for you, man. So I inquired about a few Rolex watches from my local AD almost 3 years ago. Those watches include Rolex Submariner 41, Rolex Submariner black with date, Rolex Sea Dweller, Rolex Deep Sea, and the long-awaited Daytona. Right there, man, you're throwing out all these different ones which you want, you know what I mean? It's kind of like you gotta, I wouldn't do it that way, but still, you said, and the long-awaited Daytona, you're basically asking for just almost any, apart from the GMT, and a Yachtmaster. Did you say Yachtmaster? No, but you're pretty much going, I'll take any sport model that you get. Now, I get the Daytona is a long stretch. However, I have a very long spending history with this AD, to include a Rolex Breitling Tag Heuer and a lot of other nice jewelry from not only the same AD, but the same sales guy. At the same time I contacted them, I also contacted another AD in the area with zero spend history, and about a year later was contacted and was chosen for the Sea Dweller. which I purchased. Do you think, with the spending history I have and the relationship I have with the first AD, that it's a little ridiculous I haven't been contacted about one of the watches I inquired about almost 3 years ago? I continue to keep in touch, but I'm being told it's not up to the salespeople who picks it. It's up to the owner, which I have met, which I've met with one time. I've met with him one time, and it was a very pleasant experience. Figured I would get your thoughts on that. Thanks, man. Love what you are doing and with the channel, and also love the watch collection. Thanks, man. I appreciate your question and your concern. You know that it all depends with the AD. You know what I mean? It can get frustrating for sure. Yeah, should they have contacted you after you say you've got a pretty good spend history? Yeah, they probably should have. There's no real excuse for that to be, especially for like a couple of watches you're asking for. And then of course you got another AD that's like, here you go. I've had this happen with my buddy in Nashville, Lincoln. He had an AD out there for Rolex. He had a good spend history. A few Datejust, not a root beer, a Pepsi GMT Master 2, and he wanted a day date and an OP. And the sales rep was kind of just kind of cocky, young, cocky, kind of, yeah, man, and he thought he ruled Nashville, and then Finks open up down the street, and not only does he get his Rolex day date, he gets the Submariner, his OP, and he just got another OP for his dad. So your AD can sometimes, I think sometimes they can kind of take advantage of the fact that you're a good customer and they don't want to help you out. Some people will send tons of business, and you don't get so much as a, hey, thanks, man. You know what I mean? We'll throw you a couple watches, but you won't get the one watch. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying. So, but best of luck with everything, man. I hope I answered everything. Okay, so this next one comes from Mark R973. Hi, Tony. Nice watch. Not sure which one you're talking about, but thanks. Thanks for the videos. I am seeing videos talking about the waiting list at ADs, that there really is not a waiting list. Have you addressed that? I'm new to your videos, and we'll check out the older ones. Thanks. I have addressed it, but it bears repeating. There's no official wait list. You know what I mean? Rolex doesn't have a wait list. It's the ADs, right? So, and the wait list, basically, it's sort of comprised of them taking your name and telephone number and your information, whatever watch you're interested in, and they don't put it in a list in order of who, you know what I mean, gets what. You know what I mean? Okay, we got people that, there's 100 Submariners here for John, Frank, Paul, and then Jenny comes in and she's at the bottom of the list. You know what I mean? That's not how it works. They got to, they have whatever it is that they do, and then they pick and choose who they want to sell them to, and that's pretty simple. It's not like a list in that sense. You know what I mean? There might be someone who's more important, or a person who's real cool with their AD, and they'll get that watch before you get yours, but eventually, hopefully, you will get yours. But it's not any type of official thing. Some ADs, I think they probably do it that way, but I don't know any that do. But yeah, so it's not really an official list, dude. It's kind of like, hi, if you go in and you say, hey, my name's Tony, I'd like a Rolex Submariner 124060, can you put me on the list? Sure. And then I don't call or contact you 6-7 months later and go, hey, have you got my Submariner? They won't even know who you are, dude. You know what I mean? So you've got to keep showing your face. It will help to also, just follow up a lot. Thanks for your question, man. This comes from Joel Bolt, 88. Love the content, Tony. What are your thoughts about the Cartier Tank Must XL on leather? I know you owned the Solo, but considering the current prices for the Must XL, would you recommend it? Hell yeah, dude. That's a badass watch, man. I love the Tank. Scratch magnet for sure, but it's a great watch. And as far as what they are new, they're only like $5,000 new. I say only. I mean, 5,000 is still a lot of money for some people. But I think I answered this to you, but I'm not sure. I would say buy it new, because if you buy it new, you're going to get an 8-year warranty on it. You know, you get I think a 5-year warranty, or it's a 3-year and it's extended for 5 years, or a 5-year warranty and extended for 3 when you go through Cartier. Go through Cartier, pay full retail, man. But it's a beautiful watch. I love that watch. I want to get another one. Thanks for your question, dude. This one comes from Tab 3 Gator. Hey, don't know if I missed your answer, but why are the non-chrono Zenith movements also called El Primero? I've had this question a bunch as well. So, and my answer to you was like, they just basically made the El Primero, but without the chronograph. So, but in this case, because I've gotten so many questions about that, I decided to ask someone at Zenith who I happen to kind of know. So, and this came from Jessica at Zenith. She's the West Coast sales rep for Zenith. And I just said, hey, you know, I've got a lot of questions on this, and can you just give me a more straightforward answer as far as me just trying to hopefully not make something up and just, you know, assume what the answer is. And her response was, the El Primero is so sought after as a movement that we wanted to be able to offer it in our non-chronograph models as well. The team was able to modify the El Primero 3600 movement to remove the chronograph components, but still keep the high frequency of 36,000 VPH at 5 Hertz. I love how engaged and curious your followers are. So there you have it. That's the official answer. Thanks for your question, dude. This comes from Mike Lewis 2456. Tony, that was a great idea, doing a segment specifically on this topic. Probably Rolex anxiety. Buy what you can afford and don't get caught up with the hype. Yep. Watches are a luxury item, especially when you get to a higher end brands. Talking about watches, was at Moritz Grossmann AD. As you know, very limited production. I think they make about 450 watches a year. Yeah, I thought it was probably even less, but anyway, either doesn't matter. Maurice Grossmann, yeah. The AD had MG-003520 limited to only 50 watches worldwide. I'm contemplating buying it. Funny thing, remember, I was offered the 6119R and I passed the Patek Philippe 6119R. That's the Calatrava. Both watches sell for $32,000. I'd like to get your opinion, Tony. My opinion, Maurice Grossmann, 41 millimeter dress watch, stainless steel. Right? No? Yes? No? I think. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Patek Philippe, 39 millimeter. That's a better size for me, and it's solid rose gold. You know, Patek Philippe. I get Maurice Grossmann is, you know, yeah. I mean, they're great. They're a great brand. I would get the Patek Philippe just because I prefer Patek Philippe. You know what I mean? But it's up to you, dude. You know what I mean? It's a lot of money to spend, and it's a lot to think about. So whatever suits you. Keep in mind, is it a 39 millimeter or a 41 millimeter? Unless they make a 39 or 40 millimeter Maurice Grossmann that they had. And if you prefer stainless steel or solid gold, I prefer stainless steel for my watches. But in the case of something like this, I would definitely go with the Patek Philippe. Best of luck, dude. This last one comes from OS, BMX, and Hot Rods. Engraving wouldn't bother me if the price was right, unless it was some fucked up stuff. Engraving, we were talking about, I had someone ask me about buying a watch. Would it bother me if the watch was engraved? What is your opinion on a JLC master control date with the moon phase, or a Rolex GMT? Unfortunately, I can only get one or the other. Great video as usual. I don't know. Let me think about that. No, JLC, man, that's a great watch, dude. But you're looking at apples and oranges. You know what I mean? You're not comparing apples and apples, man. It's like the JLC is a great watch. Watchmaker's watchmaker. You know what I mean? It has a moon phase. It has a date. It's a dressier watch. GMT is more sporty, but you can also dress it up. Do you prefer to have this sort of, I got a badass Rolex on my wrist, or a watch no one's going to know what you have on your wrist? If something happens down the line and you had to sell it, not saying you'd want to, but if something did happen, what do you think you would get for the JLC as opposed to what you would get for the Rolex GMT? You know what I mean? It's so you have to weigh whatever it is. You know, if it's going to be your forever watch, you really have to decide for yourself, man, which one you think is, you know, which one's going to be like a daily watch. The Rolex GMT is more of a daily wear watch than the JLC Master Control date with moon phase, and that's the ultra slim, I think, as well. So anyway, having said that, you guys, I appreciate everything. I hope you're gonna have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.